In the last episode that I just put out, literally like an hour ago, I don't know, we did the first part of the NFL draft. We finished off with Juju Smith-Schuster, as you guys can see right here. We're going to be moving on to the second part of the draft in this episode, and in the next episode we're going to recap all of the picks that I made, as well as reveal our season schedule. So let's go ahead and begin this one, which will be the 15th overall pick, and that'll belong to the Houston Texans. So, with the 15th overall pick, the Houston Texans select Darren Carrington, wide receiver, out of Oregon. I personally watched him a lot of times because I watched a lot of Oregon games, mostly Pac-12 games, and so I know that he's an absolute beast. He was by far their best receiver. He's 6'2", 186 pounds, and like Will Fuller, like I said in this Madden series, he hasn't really developed that well. So DeAndre Hopkins needs another complimentary receiver, and the Houston Texans really hope that maybe Carrington will be that complimentary type of guy for them, as they very well need him to. His stats are pretty good. He has very good strength, but for the most part, he's a very fast receiver. He's a little underweight, 186 pounds. He'll probably have to hit the gym for the Texans, but nonetheless, I think he's a great pick for them. Moving on to the 16th overall pick, the Cleveland Browns. Yes, the Cleveland Browns hold the 16th overall pick. We'll select Harold Landry, outside linebacker. Now, they need some more guys. They do have Jamie Collins, obviously, in real life. Not in this series, though, because this was created way before he was traded to Cleveland. So their outside linebacker position is at a very tough spot right now. The last time they drafted an outside linebacker in the first round was Barkevious Mingo out of LSU, and that obviously did not work out for them. So they're hoping that Harold Landry can be that guy to really beef up their linebacking core, as their defense is what was really killing them this season. They don't have that many good linebackers. They have a decent secondary and a decent pass rush, but their linebacking core is absolutely awful. I mean, I think Demario Davis is their only good linebacker that they have on their team. He provides good speed, though, and hopefully he can bring them some good pass rush as well. Now, moving on to the 17th overall pick, and that'll be Mitch Hyatt, drafted out of Clemson. He'll be picked up by Buffalo. We all know that they obviously don't have their left tackle because we took them from them and then traded him to the New York Giants. So now Buffalo is going to need this type of a guy that can protect Tyrod Taylor, his blind side. And anybody that can protect Clemson's Deshaun Watson well is definitely worthy of being looked into. And this is this guy, Mitch Hyatt. He provides good pass blocking, good run blocking, and as well as good impact blocking for them. He's just an all-around good player, has pretty good awareness, and should develop quickly for them, as they hope that he'll be their franchise left tackle after losing Cordy Glenn. As well as he has 89 strength, so that should be pretty good for them too. Moving on to the 18th overall pick, it'll be Byron Cowart, drafted by the Buccaneers. Now, this is a guy out of Auburn who was a very, very highly recruited player coming out of high school. Didn't really get a chance to play very much at Auburn because of injuries, but I mean, his potential and his ceiling is so high that you have to just take a chance at him. He's 6'4", 256 pounds, pretty big, built well, built strong, like a pass rusher. He can stop the run. He's got great speed. He's a great build, and I mean, I think he can be a very good complementary to Gerald McCoy and to that young secondary as well in Tampa Bay. Their offense is great. If their defense can improve, they can possibly make the playoffs, which is something that they definitely hope to do this season. There you see he has 80 overall speed, which just fits about around right. Don't know his 40-yard dash because he hasn't really been in the combine at all. I don't think he's going to get drafted this year, so it doesn't even matter. Moving on to the 19th overall pick, the Oakland Raiders, who moved to Las Vegas now. They will be selecting free safety Ronnie Harrison out of Alabama. Now, this guy was an absolute beast for them as well. When he was in there, I know that he was just an absolute hard-hitting guy. You couldn't do anything on him. I mean, he would just crack people. I remember watching the Washington Huskies game, and he laid out John Ross. He laid out everybody. So he's definitely a hard hitter, a Cam Chancellor type of build, except at the free safety position. And that is somebody that Oakland needs. I know they drafted a safety last season in the draft. I already forgot who he is. I just can't remember names very well. I'm sorry, you guys, about that. But their secondary can be beefed up. Their offense is unbelievably good. I mean, Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper, and then Derek Carr running the quarterback. That is a very good matchup, as well as the second best offensive line in the entire NFL. We all know that the Cowboys have the best one. So hopefully for them, he turns out to be great. and sort of like a Cam Chancellor. Although the free safety version of him, he has great speed, so he's a lot faster than Cam Chancellor. But nonetheless, he should be a great pick. And now, with the 20th overall pick, the Washington Redskins select Bo Scarborough. Now, this guy is an absolute monster. Another Alabama player going in the first round. How many more can we have? I don't know. This guy they called him the closer in Alabama for a good reason. He is like a much bigger, much larger, much stronger Marshawn Lynch, except obviously not the good footwork that Lynch has. You could not, when the fourth quarter came on and the defense is tired, you cannot tackle this guy. He will not go down. I mean, he not against Washington in that championship game. He broke like 5 tackles on his 68-yard touchdown run. The defense was so tired, but he just kept on going and he just kept on chugging. And hopefully Washington gets that exact same player at the NFL level as they hope to do. Moving on to the 21st overall pick, it'll be a selection by the Denver Broncos. 6'6" defensive end. Once again, they need more pass rush to accompany Von Miller, and Jerry Tillery should be that type of a guy for them. And he's an absolute beast once again. Just another guy. He's built very large. You guys can see he looks like a defensive tackle, but he's a great run stopper, a great pass rusher. He can do everything for you, and this is exactly what Denver is going to need out of their pass rush. Their pass rush is good, but their defensive tackle position is kind of lacking, so I don't know if they're going to do a position change with him or not. But this pick does make a lot of sense, although they could maybe work on their quarterback spot, which would have been up first. But obviously, since they don't have such a high pick, they can't really go with anybody. With the 22nd overall pick, Nick Chubb is selected by the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we should all know who this guy is. He's an absolute beast. Coming off his senior season, had a great year. He had a big ACL tear, which really ruined his season in his earlier part of career at Georgia. But Kansas City really hopes that he can be their running back, as Jamal Charles' career is really winding down. I mean, he's aging, you know, and they need somebody that can be just like Charles, an all-down back, who can run the ball, catch the ball, make great plays, and help Alex Smith take off some of that pressure off the passing game, along with Jeremy Maclin and Travis Kelce and all those guys. They're all just, you know, they're all full of talent, and hopefully, once again, he develops well. Because, I mean, I really feel bad for this guy. He's been such a good running back, but just injuries have killed him, and hopefully they do not hurt him in the NFL. Moving on, with the 23rd overall pick, the New Orleans Saints will select Christian Wilkins, a defensive tackle. Now, they needed more guys. He comes out of a Clemson. You know, Clemson won the national title, so they're going to be having great defensive players. And as a 6'4", 300-plus pound guy, he can definitely stuff the run and take up a lot of space, allowing guys like, I'm trying to remember all their guys, like Cameron Jordan to get to the pass rush. And the Saints, like, their defense has been struggling. I mean, they really could have addressed almost any position on the defensive end, from linebackers to the secondary. But in this case, they went with a dominant defensive lineman. And you see what a defensive lineman like Aaron Donald can do for you. So this is not a very bad decision. I think this is a good draft pick, coming in at 23rd with not that much talent left. Now, the Los Angeles Rams, with the 24th overall pick, will select Jeb Blazevich, tight end out of Georgia. Not a lot of receivers left for them, and I think this is a great pick. You know, they need a receiving tight end. I mean, no Jared Cook. There's not much really that Jared Goff has to work with there, besides Todd Gurley and Tavon Austin. And adding a guy like him is going to be great. He's a big target, has great hands, good speed, and he's built like a tight end. Not built like a skinny wide receiver or a overly sized blocking tight end. He's got good balance. He can block for you. I mean, with a guy like Nick Chubb, you're going to have to block. And so he's a great pick for them. Now, with the 25th overall pick, the San Diego Chargers will select Davin Godix, another defensive lineman coming off the board. This is a 6'4", 289-pound defensive tackle. 24 years old, coming off another senior season once again. San Diego needed to beef up their defensive line. And getting a guy like this out of Penn State will definitely help them do that. He's 6'4", obviously 289 pounds. I already probably said that. I keep forgetting if I did or not. But he's a very good player, built well, and he's built tough, like a Ford F-150, as they say on all their commercials. So hopefully he pans out well, and is a great compliment to their other second-year player, Joey Bosa. Now moving on to the 26th overall pick in the first round, the Jacksonville Jaguars will select middle linebacker Cameron Smith out of USC. This is a guy that had a 3-interception game, I believe a season ago. I can't remember who was the opponent, but I actually watched that game. and he was just doing everything. He was making tackles, interceptions, pass deflections. I mean, he was getting sacks. He played like he was playing every single position at the same time on the defensive end. I mean, it was unbelievable. He has a very high motor, very fast and very instinctive. A great linebacker, and probably a more quicker version of Paul Postlesny, who was their linebacker previously. So hopefully for Jacksonville, keep hands out, and he's going to be a great linebacker and a great captain, and sort of the middle of that defense. Now with the 27th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers will select Casey Tucker, right tackle out of Stanford, a guy that blocked for Sam Darnold. They needed to beef up the right side of that offensive line. You're going to have to be able to protect Cam Newton. I mean, he's a former MVP quarterback, one of the best QBs in the NFL. And having a guy like Casey Tucker can definitely help that, or relieve that stress off of him. As the left side, the left tackle position is actually pretty good, but the right side is very weak. So that should be a great pickup for them. One of the more safer picks for them. They don't have to worry about really busting, him busting, but I think this is a good pick overall. Now the Dallas Cowboys will have the 27th overall pick, and with that 27th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys, who made it to the divisional round, will be selecting Adonis Alexander, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. Now this is a Pete Carroll type of a built cornerback. I mean, he's 6'3", under 200 pounds, very tall, very lengthy. A player that I know I would have loved to be able to draft had he not come off the board, but unfortunately he did. He's built like Richard Sherman, plays like Richard Sherman, has dreadlocks like Richard Sherman. What more can you ask for? This is since he played for a team like Virginia Tech, you didn't get a lot of spotlight, but I know for a fact that he can be a lockdown corner. He's got good speed, good balance of hitting power, and he's not scared to make a tackle. That is something important for cornerbacks and very underrated. CBs need to be able to tackle, and a guy like Richard Sherman is not scared to do that, and Adonis Alexander is a guy that follows in those footsteps. With the 28th overall pick, or excuse me, with the 29th overall pick, the Green Bay Packers will be selecting a defensive tackle here, Brantley. Forgot his first name already. He's 6'2", 318 pounds. He's built, Caleb Brantley is his name. He's built a lot like Aaron Donald. Once again, not very tall, but has good, quick feet, and that can be something that's very helpful for him in weaving through the offensive linemen. I mean, we see a quick first step is something that has, made Aaron Donald absolutely unstoppable. He's just able to get past the offensive line before they can even set up or get out of their spots. And so hopefully for Green Bay, they need to beef up their running game. He can take up a lot of space as well. You guys saw what happened in the NFC Championship. I mean, we absolutely gashed Green Bay with our running game, and Thomas Rawls really closed that game out. And so having a guy like this who can just stuff the run is definitely a must. With the 30th overall pick, the New England Patriots select Baker Mayfield, quarterback out of Oklahoma. Now they're going to need this guy. They made it to the AFC Championship with only Jimmy Garoppolo on their team. He's not bad, but I figure that maybe they just need another QB, and that's why Bill Belichick chose him. I mean, it's sort of a head scratcher, I guess, like why would they need this guy? Their quarterback position is already fine. I think letting Garoppolo would develop would be better because he also got a chance to play with Tom Brady, whereas Baker Mayfield's coming in as a rookie. But nonetheless, it's their decision, and you can't really get mad at Bill Belichick's decision making. I mean, after all, he's Bill Belichick. Guy's won 5 Super Bowls. He knows what he's doing. And now, with the 31st overall pick, your Seattle Seahawks, what we've all been waiting for, will be selecting. I need a drum roll. They select cornerback Tavares McFadden out of Florida State. This is a guy that I love absolutely. He's built, like I said, another Richard Sherman type of build. 6'2", literally 196 pounds, the same exact weight as him. Richard Sherman, he's an inch taller. He's 6'3", and this guy's 6'2". He has got very long arms, a good vertical too. He can get up in the air, and he's got great speed, so he can run with almost any receiver in the NFL. Besides, like the fastest guys, like Marcus Goodwin or someone like that. So he can play defense. He can be a shutdown corner, an island type of corner, and this is exactly what we needed to beef up our secondary. Although we have Eli Apple, I think this is just only getting better. You can never have too many good cornerbacks on your team. And with this also, him and Eli Apple are going to be competing for that second cornerback spot. So whoever really wins it is going to be the second corner, while whoever loses is going to be the third corner in the slot. And then Jeremy Lane is going to be the fourth cornerback no matter what. this season. I mean, he played awful last year, so hopefully maybe moving him back in the slot will be the best thing for us. There you guys see 78 overall, and that is just a pretty good rating for a rookie. With the final pick, Christian Walker is going to be selected by the Cincinnati Bengals, the Super Bowl winning Cincinnati Bengals. This is a guy, excuse me, his name's Charles Walker. Why did I say Christian Walker? This is a guy drafted out of Oklahoma, another pass rusher coming from there. I mean, they've had a load of pass rushers come off the board in the past couple years. Definitely a great pick. I think he's a safe draft pick. You can just let him develop, and that'll be good for the Bengals. But anyway, that's going to pretty much do it for this part 3. Part 4 will be coming out a little bit later. This will just be a recap of the draft as well as all of our draft picks. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment. God bless every single one of you guys, and I'm out. Peace.